It is always a process trying to keep these old vehicles on the road and have everything up to tip-top shape. It is just a trial. You know what I'm talking about. Hey guys, welcome back to Two Stall Garage. We're going to install this upper control arm. This is the passenger side control arm. We're going to do it right over here on a 2005 Jeep Liberty. This is the diesel, this isn't the gasser, but that's not going to make a difference for your control arm right here. This is a standard control arm. It's not greasable, unfortunately. We got it from O'Reilly Auto Parts quite a while ago. We're going to use it instead of waste it. Got a new surprise right over here. Something we picked up sight unseen for pretty cheap, dirt cheap you might say. I'm going to show you that in an upcoming video. You might see it in this one actually, but we're not going to talk about it right now. I'm Justin. Let's get started on this. Yeah, look at that. You're already seeing it. Surprise, ruined, foiled. New Vulcan gloves by Mediacom. They are great. Look at this. I mean, I use them over and over again. I'm expecting these to last through this job. We'll see what happens. You got a Jeep Liberty, the jack point on these is right behind the pinch weld. You're gonna save yourself, I would say $500 by doing a control arm replacement yourself. $596 is what I was quoted for the driver's side. Pretty sure I picked up the control arm for around $100, a little less, from O'Reilly. Hi, Crystal. This channel is pretty much all about DIY, guys. I know most of you already know that. Obviously, if you're here, if you're a subscriber, you know that. On your Liberty, this is going to be a 21 millimeter. These aren't that hard to break free. They shouldn't be anyways. They're torqued to about 60 foot-pounds. I believe that's the spec. There you go. Come on. This Jeep came from Minnesota, and surprisingly, there is not a ton of rust underneath of it. There's some, but not a lot. I'm telling you, it must have been treated with some sort of rust prevention. Your new control arm comes with a new nut. I've got a little 2-pound hammer here. I'm just going to give it a little tap and it'll separate. Allegedly, it'll separate. There it goes. Push your control arm up. And unfortunately, I see I've got a CV axle boot that's tore here. This is a newer CV axle shaft. Notice these gloves are still working. They're still holding up strong. Get a little crowbar down here. You can put it against your lower control arm. You can see if your bushings are bad. This one appears to be okay on both sides. So that's a good thing. And I'm just looking in here to see if the axle shaft, CV axle shaft, is leaking at the seal that goes into the front differential, but everything looks good there. It is always a process trying to keep these old vehicles on the road and have everything up to tip-top shape. It is just a trial. You know what I'm talking about. What are you working on right now that's giving you a hard time? Now we're coming up to the upper side. I'm going to take the air box off. So I'm going to disconnect the mass airflow sensor. With these Liberties, it helps if you take your filter out. This is a MicroGuard filter. Filters really well from everything I've read online about it. I picked that up at O'Reilly as well. We're going to set that off to the side, get our sensors out of the way. Do a couple little tugs. You can get your air box off. This air box is busted. Whoa, busted right here. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this with an air box that is not busted. We'll do that as we come back around. You might have this, it's for your fresh air, cold airflow. Now I'm going to bring you guys right down inside here so you can see what I'm looking at. This right here, this is your brake line. And down here you've got a bolt. It's not actually the one you turn. This one's got a retainer on it. It's going to swing up. You want to make sure that it doesn't hit your brake line and bust it. This is the bolt right here that you want to get to. And I think it's an 18, but we'll check it out here real quick. And that's just going to be for one of your bolts. You've got two of them holding it in. Holding it in. Sound like a horse announcer there, or race announcer. I don't know. This is an 18. There we go. Might have to grab yourself a little cheater wrench. That's what I'm doing. 21 piggybacking off the 18. After a few turns with the 18, flip, flop, flip, flop, flip, flop. You know how it goes. Now it's finger tight. And I can remove the 18mm bolt no problem. I'm going to put it back on the same side, so I'm just going to know where I place that. You got to get this pin out here, and to do that I suggest you do a little bit of wiggling around of this, but I'm going to have to get the other one loose first, I do believe. So that leads us to going right down here underneath. So here's the first one out. You can see the bolt. Second one's going to be right over here on the opposite side of this, but to get to that way I'd have to take quite a bit of stuff. Let's see if I can even see it. You know what? Oh boy, I can see it right down there. You probably can't see it. I wonder. I can't get to it down there, so I'm going to go down right through here and up under. Don't let anything get into your turbo, by the way, if you've got a Jeep Liberty CRD. Otherwise, you might not have a turbo. See how that kind of works? All right, so you guys can see me right down here. I've been using this 18mm again, and it is hard to get to. You're going to be kind of rotating. I'm using my left hand as I go up right past the downpipe on the right hand side, and then I swing over directly below the CV axle. Make sure you're safe when you're doing this. You don't want this thing to fall down on you. And I go right up past the transmission, and I'm reaching around, and I can just get to it. This is much easier to get to than the driver's side, but it's still a pain point. These bolts don't turn by finger until you're right at the end. I'm sorry, these nuts, I should say, don't turn by finger until you're right at the end of the bolt. So I've got a little trick for that. Hopefully it works. Did it last time, we'll see. Anyways, we're ready to try to pull these pins out. So I'm gonna put this bolt right here, and I'm gonna reach up. See if I can grab that pin out. Come on. And hopefully it comes out and there's not some weird catch. There's one. What they look like. This is your stopper. These always go to the back rear facing of the vehicle. Now I'm just going to reach down and grab this other one here. See if I can get that to swing on out of there. This one's almost bound up. It is. I'm going to have to grab a crowbar, I think, and just give it a little nudge. There we go. Just wasn't setting all along the side of the wall just right. Grab my control arm right here. Just gonna start walking this thing backwards if we can. This one makes it past your brake line okay. On the driver's side, you gotta ease past that brake line without breaking it. And here we go. Here's our old one. You can see this was wore out. I think this is actually what was making our clunking noise. Although this is pretty loose as well. It's not clunking. This bushing looks okay. You can see that. It's a good 3-inch threads almost. 2.5, and it gets to right here before it just binds up. Well, a guy tried to get these to loosen up a little bit. They're not going to, so it's going to be, I mean, they're designed that way. You don't want them to come off or back off by themselves. So out with the old and rotted, in with the new. Man, those just look tiny in the video. Make sure your bore is cleaned out real nice. This is where it's going to go, right in here. We're ready to put it back in. We're running out of time. Got church tomorrow morning. Got to get a sermon ready. So let's get moving. It's about 10 o'clock tonight. All right, here we go. We're going in, guys, gals. This is the hardest one to turn, so I'm putting this one in the easiest place. Right down and in past the brake line. If you've got a gasser, I don't know what will be in your way, just maybe the air box like this, and that's about it. I didn't have to take off the lower radiator hose, nothing like that. See if we can get this to line up. Don't look at me while I'm doing this. Trying. Missed. You can kind of see to line it up a little bit. We're gonna go right there as a start. And there we go. Start wrenching. So I got the second one in. To put the second one in, you are gonna be kind of laying down underneath like I was getting it out while using your right hand to put it in position. It's in position. I just need to lock it in now. These get torqued down to 80 foot-pounds based on my past recollections. So I'm just gonna make them nice and snug because I cannot fit my torque wrench into this space. And if you don't have a ratcheting wrench like me, not having one, I don't have one, it's miserable. I'm telling you right now. You can do it. It's not complicated at all. It's just a hard to reach spot, and if you don't have a ratcheting wrench, you're gonna be turning a little bit, getting it back on there where you can't reach very well, turning a little bit. It's way past my bedtime, but it's still fun. I'm pushing a little bit on the lower rad hose as well as the power steering hose because I need to get this thing tightened up before midnight. All right, top side's complete. Going back under with the 18 millimeter. Let's finish this up. This is a blind situation. It's a lot easier to pull down than it was to wrench. Than it was to wrench up, if you know what I mean. And there we go. That's where we're staying. Right there. Right there. It's good. Right over here. It's in. All right. I am not a fan of these. Just want to say they were the cheapest ones that O'Reilly had. They're still a good brand. Are they Moog or Masterforce? I'm not sure. But on the other side, if you look back at another video, maybe I'll put it up. Probably not. You can tell that you can get them non-greasable or you can get them with greasable ball joints, and that's what I recommend. This gets tightened up to 60 foot-pounds. If your ball joint stops spinning, go ahead and grab a 10, and that way you can hold it. I shouldn't say I should say if it starts binding up where the ball joint is spinning inside the top of the knuckle. All right, I grabbed this torque wrench from Menards. It's like $150. This will get us just to the right amount. Goes from 50 to, not 52, but from 50 to 250 foot-pounds. There we go, there's 60. I got a small tear right here, but that's it. So that's good. Just double check everything. Secured. These are 80, I believe, foot-pounds. This is 60, I do believe. Check the manual before you believe me for it. That should hold it just fine. It's the lock nut. All of them, they're not gonna back off. Now we're coming up to putting a new air box in. This is a new used one. The other one had a broken hinge latch right here, but this is good. Retainer, whatever you want to call it. So let's go ahead and put this in. This comes from Dad's silver Jeep CRD. So thank you, Dad, for the parts very much. Appreciate it. Silver Jeep lives on. Might live on again someday, I don't know, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put the time and effort into it. You'd be surprised at how many bugs you get in your air filter. It's a lot. Torque on these is 100 foot-pounds, and please double check before you take my word for it. We're gonna leave all that right there because it's way past my bedtime. Shut it off. In the morning, we're gonna take this to church. We're gonna see if that clunking is resolved. We'll talk to you in just a couple moments. Thanks for being here. Okay, well, a couple of things. First off, it drives nice. Much straighter without all the swirlies. It doesn't try to follow the road as much, but it's still clunking when I hit the big bumps, and not like huge. I can tell it's gotten a lot better. I can tell that bushing was definitely wore out. As far as the ball joint goes, maybe not. It was getting close to needing to be replaced, but we have still got a clunking going on, and it's right over here. We're gonna call that a wrap for now. Also, I gotta tell you guys this, just let me share this with you real quick. This right here, I picked it up for about $13, a ratcheting 18 millimeter wrench from Menards. And what a difference this is gonna make when I replace the control arms on that over there, which we haven't talked about yet. So I've got the tool to do the job. This will save a ton of time. I can't tell you how long it took. This one right up in here on the inner. Hi, how are you? You got toys? Princess and the Frog and Beauty and the Beast, huh? Anyways, this video coming out, we might be firing the parts cannon at this, I don't know. 4 days before we're heading up to Beartooth Highway. We're gonna go to Beartooth Pass. I've got a little bit of brake fluid seeping out of either this one or that one. Just a tiny little bit, but I gotta put some new crush washers on those. Anyways, DIY. You can do it, takes some time, not a big deal, saves a lot of money. And I think by replacing that control arm right there, we probably saved about $500. So, everyone have a good day. We'll talk to you in the next video. From our garage to yours. Bye-bye.